Hey, Nico from Voiceflow here. So in this video, I want to share with you a bit of our magic sauce, should say. As some of you might know, all of our assistants, so the one we are using on the main website, within the app, the creator app, even on Discord, are powered by Voiceflow. So this allows us to be able to share with you our work. So how stuff are working. So you can, on your end, be inspired by this and tweak this in a way that works best for you. So this is what I'm going to share with you today. It's all about the Discord bot and more specifically about this live answer feature. So we started with the Discord bot with some command or manual trigger. So you can do a /ask and ask a question. You can submit a feedback using the /feedback command, which is good, but most of you guys are not aware about it. That's a fact. When you are on Discord, otherwise we've shared the information on how to use the bots with some of you, and then you will be able to be aware about it. But most of the time, even with some communication around this, most of the user will simply ask questions in the available channel, and that's the friction. This is where we want Tico to basically being able to catch those questions, and if we do have an answer in the knowledge base, we want to be able to use this and share it with the user. So there are some caveat here. You don't want to miss the answer. Sometimes you might have a question. The knowledge base might return something, but it's not really answering the thing. That's the thing. That's how it works. That's why it's a beta. That's why we are testing. That's why we are adding filter to it, to avoid those kind of things. And at the end of the video, I will also talk about how we think of optimizing this. But the main part of this video is how we've done this live answer thing. The part of the code I've updated to make that available, and we will also be able to talk about the Voiceflow assistant itself, so the project, how this is doable in Voiceflow. So let's start with the integration. So we've already shared a Discord sample, so code sample for an integration you can use as an inspiration, as a base to work on your own integration. And I'm going to use this for this video. So the parts that you want to update. And by the way, we do have a previous video explaining how this Discord integration works. So if you haven't seen the first video, you might want to check that just to be aware of like how we've done the command and all those stuff, because I will not dive in those specific parts of the integration. I will only focus on the updated one today. So we want to fetch or catch any new messages from our users in some specific channels. That's the main thing. So to be able to do that, we do have some events here in our code. Message create is the one we are looking at. So that's the file we want to look at. In that part, we are splitting. We have some condition, let's say, based on, is this a DM? So is the user talking with the bot in a DM? Are we flagging the bot? Are we using the secret word to, again, trigger a DM? So in the integration sample, this is just a simple example. When you type hashtag secret, hashtag, we just send a DM, just a test DM. And yeah, that's where you want to update the part where we will also fetch user answers. So here at the end, I've added this part, which is basically fetching all the message, the new message, removing any tagged user. This is what we are doing here, message without the mention. So we are, again, removing anything that has been tagged. And then we are sending this to our assistant using the dialog API. So here you can see we have our previous or existing interact function. We'll see that later on, but the interact function is set in the dialog API. That's why we are actually loading this this function here. And I've also added some params we are passing to that function. So here we also have the message without mention, and we also set that what we are sending here is a live answer. It's for the live answer function, I should say. So the last thing about this is, obviously, you don't want this to be available on all your channels on Discord. That might not be super useful. So you might want to target very specific channel. This is what we are doing in Discord here. So basically, Tico is available on the general chatter and the low-code chat. Because the developer chat might be a bit too technical for Tico, at least for now. And again, we will talk about this a bit later in this video, but we want to stick on the answer we can provide based on our existing documentation. So low-code chats and general chatter are a good channel to start with. So what we are doing here is based on the a list of channel ID that we set in our dot environment. So that's the two new settings or params we've added into the .env. The live answers channels need IDs of the channel you want your bot to be able to answer questions. So if I go back to Discord, if I right-click here, copy channel ID, this is the ID you want to put in there. If you don't have the channel ID, this is something you can go and see in settings and advanced, and you tick the developer mode. And so basically, pick and choose the channels you want a live answer to be available, and put those IDs in there. And what we are doing here is just basically ignoring the live answer feature if it's not, the message is not coming from one of those channels. So now that we've catch that message from a channel that is in our live answer channel list, and we've just sent that to our interact function, let's see how we are handling this. And this is in the dialog API.js. And this part, what we are adding is an else if, checking if the interaction is live. So do we have in what we are passing here, the interaction, do we have the is live setting, and is this setting is set to true? So basically, is this for the live answer feature? So if that's the case, then again, we are doing the message without mention here. So it's basically the interaction is the full Discord message. So that's just the payload. And we are sending a thread title as well. So go back to the message here. This is what, because you might ask, why are we doing this twice? Well, we are using this as the thread message, thread title. And we are sending the live answer is just the message. So whatever Discord give us. And we are adding to that object, the live answer is live. So basically, you can choose to just like use, like get rid of one of those two. But ultimately, what you might want to do with the thread title is using LLM to extract the main topic, for example. and generate a thread title based on this. For now, on our end, we choose to just use the user question as the thread title. So that's why we don't really mind having this done twice. So yeah, just as more context here. And what we are doing then is we are using the dialog API to trigger an intent with the specific live_answer intent. So that's the name of the intent. And for the query, so obviously you can trigger an intent without any query. That's just like using this as an event or a trigger in your assistant. And in our case, not only we want to trigger that intent, because that intent is linked to a topic in our assistant, but also we obviously we want to send the user's question. So this is the message without mention here. So we are doing this, and we are waiting for the dialog API to answer. And this is so again, we've updated this part, adding those new params for the function itself. And now in the response, we've also added this part, which is handling the thread creation. So that's another thing. In the .env, you can set threads to true or false, because we used to have the Discord bot to answer questions straight into the channel, but for readability on our end, we choose to instead create a thread. So these settings will allow you to choose to do that or not. Do you want to create threads, or do you just want the bot to answer the user? So this is where you can set this setting, and this is how we are handling it. So in the code where we are dealing with the dialog API response, if is live equal true, and so if it's coming from a live answer, we and the thread in the thread settings in the .env is equal to true, then instead of just replying, we are going to create a thread. So you can see here, this is how you do this. Interaction, start thread, the name. So this is why we are using not only the user message, but also the thread title. We are passing the thread title here, and the auto archive duration is. So I've left the comment here. You can set some time to basically setting how long this should be live. After that time, the thread will be auto archive. Yeah, you got it. Otherwise, so if it's not live and if it's not for a thread, then we will just answer that. We will just do a reply as we used to. Okay, the last thing, and I think I think that's pretty much it. That's the main changes we've done to the code here. So again, to summarize, and then we will check the project. But message create, we added this part to be able to catch all messages from users into a specific channel, so with a whitelist of channel IDs. And then we are sending this to our interact function. So we've also modified our interact function to handle more params, mostly to flag this live answer thing, and also sharing a title for the thread. And in the dialog API, we are also handling this within the so the first pass when we are sending that information to the dialog API is like basically, is this for the live answer function? Yes. So trigger that specific live_answer intent, send the user message, and wait for the answer. wait for the dialog API response based on what you've done in your assistant. Whenever you get that response, either if it's for you set to create a thread or not, then we will have that function, that else if part, that will or create a thread or just reply to the user with the answer. All right. So now that we've seen this, let's dive in our project here. So obviously this is a lighter version, but it should cover pretty much everything. Here, what we want to do is you want to set your Voiceflow dialog API, because we are going to use the knowledge base API, so mostly the query endpoint, and so for each in all your flows, you want to be sure to use this. This is mainly if you want to switch from one knowledge base to another. This is an handy way to of doing it. You can have multiple knowledge base linked to different assistants, and in the same assistant, you might want to switch from one knowledge base to another. Again, I will talk about this at the end of the video and sharing my 2 cents on this and how we want to optimize our bot. But bear with me here. You want to set your VFDM API key, because we are using the knowledge base API to do our stuff here. And we want to differentiate some interaction, like, is this coming from a DM with the bot? Is this coming from a user questions? So like in a channel for the live answer and stuff like that. Is this really asking for supports? Up to you. If you want to handle quick chats in your Discord, you can also choose to just use an AI response step and answer everything the user will say or ask. But things can go crazy. Most likely you don't want your Discord bot to be just a chat bot, because that will not be super useful. You will have people asking like a non-product oriented question just to play with the bot, which might be fun, but ultimately that will mostly just burn your token, and that not be what you want here. So again, up to you how you want to filter that. Do you want to handle if the user send a DM to the bot, how you want to handle that? If the user just put a question in a channel, how do you want to handle that? If the user trigger a specific comment, how do you want to handle that? So that's the part we were talking about in that previous video. I will again not cover that here. And again, you can also use some LLM to check or to return based on what the user is saying. If is this does this looks like a support question or not? And again, up to you to say, okay, this is not really product related, support related. Do you want to deal with this, or do you just want to ignore that? Because that might be just a conversation between two users and you don't want to interact with that. So what we want to focus on in this video today is the live answer thing. So you remember in our code, we are actually triggering the live_answer intent. And this is how we redirect our user to this live answer topic whenever we got this live answer trigger. So again, here we are setting a specific dialog API key. So the first thing we are doing is, okay, let's first check. And by the way, that can also be done in your code, in your integration. You don't have to do it in your assistant. Up to you. You can choose. Basically, this can be filtered within your integration. Is this a live question, but this question is too short, or look too short, not enough context to be able to get an answer in the knowledge base. So ignore that. Don't even send the the question to your Voiceflow assistant. In my case, I want to do this because I will be able to save that as a transcript. So I will still be able to debug, even if I want to ignore that, but I want to also know maybe that's too short, but maybe that's something we might want to be able to answer for any reason. So that's why I'm using it here in my Voiceflow assistant and not in my integration code. But again, up to you. We also have that pass to see, okay, is this like support related? It's not a generic question. So this is how we are doing it. We are using a set AI, returning 1 or 0, depending if the question seems to be support request, or, for example, if it's not a question regarding a previous question. Because sometimes you have a user asking a question, another user will answer it. But then in that answer, ask another question to that same user. And most likely you don't want your bot to interfere into that conversation because it's not meant to the bot. It's meant from a user to another user, trying to help that user. So yeah, you want to avoid some interference here. And then we have this condition. So here we got a 0 or a 1. We check that. So if it looks like a support question, then yeah, keep going. Otherwise, just don't do anything. And this is what we're doing here. We are not doing anything because we are basically ending the conversation right there. Then we are making this request to the knowledge base API endpoint. Here we are making a query with some setting in there. To basically fetch the knowledge base and get some results. So those results will be the output, the chunks related information, and we are only focusing on the first part of this chunk. So source type, source name, source URL, and then we have this first check: do we have a response from the knowledge base? Are we able to get an output? If it's not the case, so if it's not defined, if it's 0, no response. We are also limiting the answer if the chunk score is lower than 0.8. So that might be a bit high, but again, we are testing this, and we want to be sure that most of the time the bot will answer with something that is correct, or at least that is fitting or targeting the user questions. So you can change that. You can obviously, if you are more confident on the type of question, let's say if you have a channel, the bot is only available on just a FAQ channel. Yeah, you can basically just even remove this condition because most likely user will ask just questions. And even if the answer is not fully answering the user, then that might still help them, or at least they might have a source, a link to a source they can use to get answers for their question. So this is what we're doing right there. We have another filter here, which is more for us. It's maybe more related to Tico here, but might be also useful for you. So sometimes, and I've seen this on Discord, sometimes you might have a part of the answer available in your knowledge base and another part not available. So if the user asks a long question, or basically ask multiple questions in one question, what you might have is part of the answer, but not all those answers. So what you might have in return is, okay, you can do this. So regarding your question, you can do this and that, but for this part, I don't have any context. I can't help you with this and stuff like that. So depending on if you want this to be shared or not with the user, you can ignore this, but on my end, I wanted this to be removed. So this is just, again, not the best prompt engineering here, but remove any part of the answer with the mention about missing information or context. Do not add anything to the original answer. So this is just taking care of this part where we don't want answer with context-related text or stuff like that. Just make it more like very specific. And then we have this part. So that's something we've talked already, I think, in the first video. This is how we are handling, we dispatch the answer based on if we do have a source or not. So if we do have a source, we will share the answer, but also the link to those source. If we don't have any source, we will just share the answer. So this is the something we are using because we are populating a part of Discord knowledge base or Tico knowledge base is populated with Zendesk article, and to be able to auto-populate our knowledge base with this, we are basically just fetching those articles with the Zendesk API as text file, and then we are uploading those text file. And we're also filtering and cleaning those text file because most of those have HTML syntax in there, and to be more powerful or have a better, for this to work best or better with the knowledge base, we want to basically clean each article, have a pass on those articles automatically. And this is what we are doing. So we don't have any URL link to share with the user. Instead, we have a text, but we made this in a way that we can reconstruct the URL of the Zendesk article based on the text, the file text name. And this is the part where we are handling this. So basically, if the knowledge base source is a link, then we will return that link. If it's not a link, this is because it's coming from our Zendesk own fetcher, scrapper, and then you want to reconstruct the link. This is why we are seeing this right there, where we are basically regenerating this link. We are just limiting the content as well, so we are not sharing the full source content in the source. But yeah, and this is most likely, this is really useful for the card. Actually, this is something I've just copy pasted in the Discord, in this Discord demo here. But yeah, some of those can be ignored because we are not sending cards in Discord. And again, this part is just in Voiceflow. When you had a card, you let me just show you this. Here you can add the description, but you want this description to be limited in length, because otherwise the user will not. That will cut that off. That's what I meant. Sorry. So you just want to handle that part as well. So this is a long video. Sorry, I'm starting to go everywhere here, but I'm trying to share as much information as possible. Just you guys can pick and choose whatever fits your need again. But yeah, so let's see a demo of this. So what we're doing here, see, how can I add my assistant to my website? Here we are in the general chatter channel, and when I do this, my integration will see this message. Check that we are in the general chatter channel. So that channel is, let's say, whitelisted. It's part of the list authorized to be answered. And as you can see here, because I've said that I want to create threads, this is what we have here as a response. So Dialog API, find or our integration, send that to the Dialog API. In our assistant, we fetch the knowledge base, get a response, and because we got a response, we are sending this back to our integration with the Dialog API response, and then we can generate this answer to the user. And because this is coming from our Zendesk, we are able to regenerate the link the source is coming from, if that makes sense. So what's next? Well, what we want to do now is we are populating our knowledge base with Zendesk, with a part of our dev doc as well. Some of URLs from our website and some blog articles we have. But next step for us is to also generate content from our users. So Discord is a good way to doing it. So we have a bunch of questions and answers, and also our community is pretty active here. So that's a great way to be able to fetch some question and answers. So what we are working on right now is we have a scrapper for Discord that basically fetch all the messages in selected channels. So again, general, no code, and from there we are fetching everything, sending this to an LLM model that will generate question and answers when we do. So basically, you have like a big bucket of messages, but those messages are not all question and answers. So what we want to do is, using an LLM model, we want to generate. So this is what we are doing now. We are generating questions and answers, and then we are injecting those questions and answers into a knowledge base. And this is the next step. This is what we will be able to test hopefully next week, mid next week, if I have the time to put all this together. And so that's next phase. And what we want to do then next is, because we are injecting this into our knowledge base, we also want user to be able to flag those answer as correct or not. And this is what we are doing in our in-app assistant with the thumb up, thumb down. And based on those flags, we are going to fetch correct answers and then use this to fine-tune a GPT model, and then close the loop by just basically re-injecting this into our assistant. So the assistant will first use a fine-tuned GPT model with question and answers. If it's not able to answer, we will switch to a knowledge base. If it's not able to answer, we will exit this loop, and hopefully next time this question is asked or answered on Discord, because we are fetching those messages every week, we will have an answer for that and inject that again in this loop. So this answer will be part of the next Discord message scrapping, then be part of our FIQ or question answer knowledge base, shared or test in-app Tico assistant, validated by users with thumb up, thumb down. And if it's a thumb up, that's a correct answer. And then we will fine tune again this GPT model with this validated answer, if that makes sense. So that's a full loop. And this is how we want to handle that part. So a mix of our generated content or existing content, documentation, dev docs, blogs, article, but also user-generated content. Not only questions, but also answers. Answers by us, by the team on Discord, but also answers coming from the community. And ultimately have a path of validation by the user to then repopulate the knowledge base. And if you see that, I have let me find it. I have this document somewhere. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, so you get a better understanding of this, because that might be a bit confusing. Okay, this is what we are thinking of. We have Discord. with users generated content, question and answers coming from us, from the Voiceflow team, answers coming from community users. Then we want to use LLM, can be any model, even most likely a custom one, that will extract question and answers. Then we will populate those question and answers in a knowledge base, or in our case, in different knowledge base, because we want to be sure to use a very specific knowledge base. And by the way, we are working on categories and this in the knowledge base. So you don't need to create multiple knowledge base or multiple assistant to switch between your knowledge base. So that's a huge one coming. But ultimately, you will be able to categorize stuff in your knowledge base. And this means that for the no-code channel on Discord, you will be able to target a specific question and answer in your knowledge base. Same goes for devs question, for example, product questions, sales questions. And what we are doing here is populating those different knowledge base. Use Tico on the website, in the app, as a validation, or like a pass for user validation. Is this correct or not? And then based on those results, we will fetch the thumbs up or validated answer, and then fine-tune a GPT model based on this. And we going back to the beginning of that loop, using Tico on Discord to answer question with this new knowledge. And we will do the loop again. So every week, fetching messages, finding new question and answers, and then populating the knowledge base, validating this, populating or fine-tuning a new model, and use this. So ultimately, Tico, again, will have this dispatch whenever we will send him a question. Tico will be able to say, okay, let's start with our fine-tuned model, because this is most likely the source of truth. Sorry. Because all those answers has been validated. If I don't find anything in there, I will target a specific knowledge base based on the information, or from where this information is coming. Is that coming from the no-code channel? Is that coming from the general channel? Is that more a dev question? Is that more an API-related question? And then we can switch to a more technical knowledge base, if that makes sense. And this is the loop. This is what we are thinking of doing for Tico, and that's why I'm sharing this with you as well. We want to inspire you guys, so that might be also a good fit for you. Might be something you want to test on your end in your integration, and that's what we want to put in place next week, and hopefully get even better results. I was pretty amazed by some of the interaction, the question Tico was able to answer. It was exciting to see this thing working as expected, because it's not always the case when you are mixing LLM, knowledge base, all this. It's more a trial and error kind of thing, and you have to try multiple times. This was pretty smooth. So, but still, we want to fine-tune that as much as possible and get better results, as well as we have a great community. We are seeing more and more interaction on Discord. Why not using it to make that, make Tico smarter every day, or at least in that case, every week. That's it. That's all for me. That was a long video. Sorry about this. I'm the kind of guy that talk a lot because I'm passionate and I have a bunch of stuff to share with you. But hopefully I will try to work on making this maybe more accessible in a way that you don't have to listen to me for almost 1 hour long. But Since then, see you the next time. And yeah, chat soon. Bye.